Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Alright, so in this video we will be going over how to make a chicken dinner with a side of hot vegetables. Let's get into it. So I didn't start recording at first, so here's a picture of some frozen chicken breast that's been rolled in flour significantly. And yeah, so what I've done is I've rolled the chicken breast in flour and then I've just plopped it in the oven. It's not thawed, it's completely frozen. Wow, that's good. I'm going to cut up some of the vegetables. So I've cut up a head of cauliflower and I'm going to put them aside after they're washed in a pot. And now we're going to check on the chicken after the first 20 minutes. Alright, so I'm going to find some metal tongs so that way I can go ahead and flip the chicken breast. And yeah, let's go ahead and do that now. So once we have the chicken breast flipped, I'm going to center it back into the pan, or on the tray really, and then I'm going to be cooking it for another 20 minutes at 375 Fahrenheit. Next, I'm going to be taking some fresh washed carrots, some baby carrots, I'm going to put them into the pan as well. And then after that, we have that there, we are going to be cutting up some of the broccoli. And after that is all cut up into the size that we want it, which I just prefer the tops, we're going to wash that, add it into the pan, and once we have all of our vegetables ready, we're going to be adding some water and starting with the heat, so that way our vegetables will be cooking while our chicken is in the oven. "20 minutes later, it's time for us to check on our chicken breasts again. So at this point, the chicken has thawed since I put it in completely frozen, not thawed. So the chicken breasts are now no longer frozen together. So I have put them each on their own part of the tray, and they are about to come out of the oven so that way we can reapply some flour to some of the exposed raw chicken parts. And we're going to go ahead and do that now. So we take our chicken, and now that we have it all flipped over and we have the part that hasn't had the flour added to it yet, we're going to go ahead and sprinkle on some flour, and then we will be rubbing that in. And here's the visuals for that. Just a bit of a dash of the flour, like so. A little bit more flour, just for the other pieces now. And we're going to rub that in good, just like this. You may have noticed now that the chicken breasts have come apart now that they've thawed, that there's like a larger one and then a bit of like two smaller ones. So I wouldn't recommend making these like exact portions for your Valentine's meal. Happy Valentine's Day, by the way. I haven't mentioned that yet. I hope everyone's having a great Valentine's Day. Alright, so you take your meat and you put it back in the oven. I went ahead and did 10 minutes and I flipped it 10 minutes later, like this, and I checked on it. And you can notice that it's getting all golden brown around the edges already. So that is our cue to go ahead and flip it, like so. What I was saying about the proportions, if you're making a Valentine's meal and you're using this as an example, go ahead and you're going to want to cook at least like 2 of the larger chicken breasts. But what I'm doing for this proportions is I'm doing a large chicken breast, 1, and then 2 of the smaller portions to do a lunch and a dinner option. And I'll talk more on this later as we go. What I'm doing here is I'm adding butter to the breast, and I'm going to put it back in for the last 10 minutes or so. And yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and rub butter in pretty thoroughly on just every part of it, of all the chicken breasts. Following the butter application, I just go ahead and take the tray and I'm just putting it back in the oven for the last 10 minutes. The time in between the time I'm checking on the chicken breasts, recall that I am stirring the pot of vegetables that is slowly simmering on the stove. So if you're following along with this cooking video and making your own dinner or lunch or meal, then make sure that you're keeping an eye on your vegetables and just have a very minimum heat to it and just a very slow cook for them. So that way, while you are, checking on your chicken, you can make sure that that's getting cooked and stirred and just kept checked on. Alright, so now that we can see that it's all golden brown all around, we are just going to go ahead and take the chicken breasts off of the pan. And yeah, then you can go ahead and the other little bits of chicken that are in flour, if you want, you can do like a homemade dog treat style with them. Otherwise, you can go ahead and just scrap them into the trash. Now to check on the vegetables. We can see that the broccoli is a bit more greener. We're going to do the fork test, and if you can stick a fork in it, that means it is tender enough to go ahead and take off the stove. My vegetables are nice as tender as the fork can go just right through real easy. So the next little step we're going to do together is we're going to go ahead and hold the lid and take the pot, and we're going to pour out the excess water. So we're going to pour out all the excess water, not all of it, but a good majority of it. I'd say like 75% of the excess water. Because the next step is we're going to add just a little bit of a tad of butter. And if you'd like, you could add seasoning at this point. It's really up to you. But my personal choice, I'm just going to take a few little pads of butter like this, and I'm going to apply them just to the top vegetables, and then leave some of the pads of the butter to then melt down them. And I'm going to stir and make sure it gets all dispersed around them to make sure we have a good round, even flavor between the vegetables. You may be noticing that more steam is starting to rise, and that's because since our chicken breasts are already taken out and we're towards the ending of finishing up cooking our vegetables, I went ahead and I turned up the heat slightly to make sure our butter is nice and just melting down and like that. Personally, I liked watching that, so that's why it's recorded and zoomed in, so you can also just enjoy the butter just flow down the steamed vegetables until it's just a little puddle. Isn't that just satisfying? I thought it was anyway. But yeah, we're almost done with the vegetables. Just gonna make sure they're all stirred up, and we can start preparing our dishes, or dish. It depends on, like I said, how much proportion size you went ahead and with. Fun little tip. You don't just have to have cooked vegetables as a side, but that's what I went ahead and did. But if you want to do like hot vegetables and a salad or mashed potatoes, then go for it. But instead I just made the vegetable proportion larger, as that's the only side that the chicken breast is going to have. Anyway, so now that the butter and everything, the vegetables are all ready, the chicken breasts are all ready, and everything's looking lovely, just going to go ahead and dish them up. Oh, and here's a tip. So you're watching me struggle with this wooden spoon. This is like a wooden stirring spoon. You can go ahead and switch to a serving spoon is what I recommend, but I did not think of this and I was already recording, so you get to now watch me struggle with the wooden stirring spoon. Alright, enjoy. What we have here next is the black pepper, and we're going to go ahead and grind that on top of our vegetables and on top of our chicken breasts. And you can go ahead and grind the black pepper after you've added your brown sauce or barbecue or whatever you prefer for your chicken breast, or before, that's really up to you. But I went ahead and did this in place of seasoning, just a little nip of flavoring, if you will. It's pretty simple, and it's something that like most people have if you really cook or don't, because when you go and buy your salt, it usually comes in a pack of pepper. And yeah, I don't know, try it. And then I'm going ahead and I'm taking now a lot of the rest of the vegetables, and I'm going ahead and I'm setting them aside in the lunch that I mentioned. I'm not going to take all the vegetables because they won't fit in the container, so that way it has like leftover vegetables as well as you have enough for a packed lunch. While I'm dishing up for the little lunch, I'm gonna go ahead and give Valentine's tips for quarantine or COVID or pandemic edition, whichever one you prefer for the little title. So if you live with your significant other, or you're able to eat with your partner in person and you want to do this home cooked meal for them, then I suggest dressing the table and just setting the table, even if it's like simple as yard flowers, if you're able to get any yard flowers, because it's kind of winter. If you're able to go pick up flowers, then go for it. Like, yeah. Also, this is the finished product. This is what it looks like, but I want to keep sharing little tips. Oh, anyway, it looks like that. So, yeah, if you are able to get flowers, go for it. Put flowers on the tables or give them to your significant other, but just make it seem a little extra lovely for them. Other than sweet little touches of details, things that you can do for your appearance is like taking a bath, taking a shower, go hose off in the backyard as long as you use soap. But just taking this extra simple step and maybe dressing up. You don't necessarily have to use a bow tie or, you know, get in a suit, but like maybe a nice dress shirt, even if you're still wearing your slippers at the end of the day. Do something to take that next step. And, you know, for me personally, this is my second Valentine's Day in quarantine. Like, quarantine has totally made it a full year at this point, which is so depressing. So even if we're not going out and getting friends little treats or gifts or whatever you normally do, there's still, you know, fun little things that we can do today to make it a bit special and give each other a bit more love. So I just wanted to share that. I hope everyone has a lovely Valentine's Day. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this cooking tutorial. If you have not already, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the little bell notification so you get notified next time I make a little video or a big video, or next time I just post. And please like. Have a great time with your Valentines. Bye-bye, everyone.